There is a heaviness that settles in the chest on a Tuesday afternoon. It is not just physical fatigue. It is a deep, grinding exhaustion that seems to seep into the marrow of your bones. You look at the work in front of you, and it feels like a mountain of stone. Every email feels like a battle. Every conversation feels like a negotiation where you are losing ground. You push harder because that is what you were taught to do. You grind your gears. You force the result. By the end of the day, you feel less like a human being and more like a machine that has been run without oil. You are depleted. You wonder why everything must be such a struggle. We are often told that this struggle is noble. We are told that the harder we push against the world, the more valuable we are. But there is a different way to view this friction. What if the exhaustion is not a sign of hard work, but a sign of wrong work? What if the pain comes not from the task itself, but from the clumsy way we are holding the tool? Let us travel back to a dimly lit kitchen in ancient China. The air is thick with the smell of roasting meat and herbs. In the center of the room stands a man named Ding. He is a cook in the service of King Hui. He is standing before a massive ox, a knife in his hand. The king is watching from a distance, expecting a gruesome display of strength. But what happens next is not a struggle. It is a dance. Ding moves with a rhythm that seems almost musical. His shoulders rise and fall. His feet move in a precise pattern. The sound of the knife slicing through the meat does not sound like tearing. It sounds like a whisper. It sounds like the wind moving through dry leaves. The blade flashes in the torchlight, fast and clean. In moments, the massive beast falls apart, dissected with a perfection that seems impossible. King Hui is astonished. He leans forward and asks, "How is this possible? I have never seen such skill. How can your art reach such heights?" Cook Ding lays down his knife. He wipes his brow and smiles. He speaks in a voice that is calm and low. "What I care about is the way," he says. "It goes beyond mere skill." He explains his journey. When he first began to cut up oxen, all he could see was the whole carcass. It was a massive, intimidating obstacle. He would hack and chop, he would hit bone, he would struggle. At that time, he was fighting the ox. But after 3 years, he no longer saw the whole ox. And now, after 19 years, he does not look with his eyes at all. He uses his spirit to guide the hand. Ding picks up the knife again and shows the blade to the king. "A good cook changes his knife once a year," he says, "because he cuts. A mediocre cook changes his knife once a month because he hacks." I have had this knife for 19 years. I have cut up thousands of oxen. But look at the edge. It is as sharp as if it had just come from the whetstone. How can a blade stay sharp for 19 years of hard labor? This is the secret. Ding explains that between the joints of the ox, there are spaces, there are gaps, and the edge of the blade has no thickness. If you insert what has no thickness into such a space, there is plenty of room. The blade can wander freely. It never touches the bone. It never hacks the ligament. It moves through the emptiness. Because he never hits the hard parts, the tool never dulls. When he comes to a difficult knot, he does not force it. He slows down. He watches carefully. He moves the knife with the slightest motion, and the knot unravels by itself. We listen to this story and we nod. It is a beautiful image. But then we look at our own lives and we see only the hacking. We are the mediocre cooks. We are dulling our blades every single month. Think of your current ox. Perhaps it is a project at work that refuses to move forward. Perhaps it is a relationship with a colleague who blocks every suggestion you make. Perhaps it is a financial target you are desperate to hit. How do you approach it? Most of us approach it with force. We tighten our grip. We raise our voices. We send angry emails. We work longer hours, drinking more coffee, trying to smash through the obstacle. We are banging our blade against the bone. We are hacking at the hard, solid reality, trying to make it yield. And what is the result? The reality does not break. We break. Our edge becomes dull. We become cynical, tired, and bitter. We blame the ox for being too tough. We rarely blame our own hand for striking the wrong spot. The wisdom of Cook Ding is not about becoming a butcher. It is about understanding the structure of reality. Every situation, no matter how complex, has a structure. It has joints. It has gaps. It has a path of least resistance. When you are in a heated argument, the bone is the other person's ego. If you attack their ego directly, if you try to prove them wrong, you are hacking bone. Sparks will fly, your blade will chip, the argument will go nowhere. The gap is their need to be heard. The gap is a shared interest. If you slide your intention into that space, suddenly the resistance vanishes. You are not fighting, you are navigating. When you are trying to complete a massive project, the bone is trying to do everything at once. It is the sheer weight of the deadline. If you stare at the whole ox, you will be paralyzed. But if you look for the natural joints, the small, separate tasks that can be done today, you can move through them without friction. This is the concept of Wu Wei. It is often translated as non-action, but this is a misunderstanding. It is not laziness. Cook Ding is working. He is dissecting a massive animal, but he is working without strain. He is working without the friction of the ego, trying to force the world to be different than it is. How do we practice this in a world that demands speed? It begins with a pause. When you feel that familiar tightening in your stomach, stop. That feeling is your body telling you that you have hit a bone. You are pushing against something solid. If you keep pushing, you will damage yourself. Pull back. Take a breath. Look at the situation again. Do not look with your anxiety. Look with your curiosity. Ask yourself, where is the space here? Where is the opening? Maybe the opening is to wait. Sometimes the gap opens only when the timing is right. To push before the time is right is to strike the bone. Maybe the opening is to ask for help. Maybe the opening is to change your approach entirely. If you are writing and the words will not come, do not force them. That is hacking. Step away. Walk. Let the mind settle. The gap will appear when the tension dissolves. We are terrified that if we do not use force, nothing will happen. We fear that without the grinding of gears, the machine will stop. But look at water. Water is the most powerful force on Earth. It carved the Grand Canyon. Yet water never hacks. Water never argues with the rock. It finds the crack. It enters the empty space. And in doing so, it changes the face of the world. You have a limited amount of energy in this life. You are given one vessel, one spirit, one blade. You can spend your years hacking it against the hard edges of the world until you are worn down to a nub. Or you can learn to see the gaps. You can learn to move through your career, your marriage, and your days like the skilled butcher. Not by avoiding the work, but by understanding it so deeply that the work becomes a flow. When you find the gap, the work is no longer work. It is simply movement. It is simply the knife finding the home it was meant for. The meat falls away. The problem resolves. And you stand there at the end of the day with your blade still sharp, looking at a job well done, wondering why you ever thought it had to be a struggle. The ox is big, the task is heavy, but the space between the joints is waiting. Can you quiet your mind enough to see it?